The extinction crisis. The sky of planet Vylara was always purple. Its trees glowed softly at night, and the wind smelled sweet like flowers. But the beauty of the world could no longer hide the fear spreading through its people. Something terrible was happening. The Vylari, an advanced alien species, were slowly dying, not from war or sickness, but from silence in their future. Their females were becoming infertile. No matter how advanced their medicine was, no matter how long they studied genetics, one truth remained. Their race could no longer reproduce. Inside a giant silver tower, in the capital city, a group of alien scientists sat in silence. The room was cold and clean. Holograms floated in the air, showing graphs and DNA models. Dr. Vexa, the lead fertility scientist, stood at the center. She was tall, graceful, with glowing silver skin and bright violet eyes. She had lived for over 200 years. She had cured diseases, extended life, but this problem was bigger than any she had faced before. The birth rate has dropped to 0, she said quietly. If we don't act now, our people will go extinct within 2 generations. No one spoke. They had heard the same report for the last 5 years, but now it was final. The High Council, made of elders and generals, looked at her. What options do we have left? One of them asked. Vexa took a deep breath. There is only one, but it is dangerous. She touched the hologram. A new image appeared. A human male, strong, healthy. DNA strands floated beside him. A human male? One councilwoman asked. Vexa nodded. Our deepest genetic scans show human male DNA is 97% compatible with Vylari females. No other species comes close. Another elder frowned. But they are primitive, emotional, loud. And yet, Vexa said, they may be the only ones who can save us. A decision was made that night. Find a human male. Bring him to Vylara. Test him. He didn't have to agree. This was about survival. Far across the stars, on a quiet human colony named Ridgepoint 7, a man named Ethan Cole worked alone inside a repair station. He fixed old cargo drones, cleaned solar panels, ate freeze-dried meals. Life was boring but safe. He didn't know his world was about to change forever. One night, as he slept inside his pod, a strange noise woke him. A hum. Then, silence. Before he could grab his communicator, a bright light filled the room. His body froze. He couldn't move. He tried to shout, but no sound came out. The last thing he saw was a glowing purple figure stepping out of the light, and then everything went black. When he woke up, he wasn't on Ridgepoint anymore. He was lying on a soft white bed inside a glowing room. The walls were smooth. The air smelled sweet. Everything felt too clean. He sat up fast. Where the hell am I? A voice echoed through the room. You are safe, Ethan Cole. He turned. A woman stood at the door. Not human. Her skin shimmered silver. Her eyes were bright violet. I am Dr. Vexa, she said calmly. You are on planet Vylara. Ethan backed away. What? No. This is some dream. Some trick. I understand your confusion, she said, stepping closer. But you are not in danger. You are here for a purpose. He narrowed his eyes. What kind of purpose? She looked at him for a long moment, then said the words he never expected to. Here. You are here because our women can no longer give life, and you may be the last chance we have. Ethan stared at her, shocked. This is insane. You kidnapped me. For what? Some weird alien science project? Dr. Vexa didn't blink. No, not a project. A solution. You may help save our race. You are not a prisoner, but we do need your cooperation. Ethan looked around, breathing hard. He didn't feel hurt. He wasn't tied up, but he wasn't free either. You can't just take someone like this, he said. I have rights. Vexa tilted her head. On Earth, yes, but here, our world is dying. Our laws are different. As she left the room, the door slid shut behind her. Ethan sat down slowly, heart pounding. He looked at the glowing walls. This wasn't a dream, and whatever came next would be nothing like the life he had before. Captured for a purpose, Ethan didn't sleep that night. How could he? He wasn't on Earth anymore, not even in his own star system. He had been taken, abducted by aliens, and brought to a strange glowing world where everything felt clean, perfect, and wrong. And now they told him he was here to help save their dying species? He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a lab rat. The door to his room opened the next morning. 2 tall female aliens stood at the entrance. They wore dark uniforms with silver belts and glowing emblems on their shoulders. Their skin was pale purple and their eyes glowed like stars. "Follow," one of them said coldly. Ethan hesitated. "Do I have a choice?" They didn't answer. He walked down a long hallway. The floor hummed beneath his feet. Strange symbols lit up on the walls. Everything looked alive, like the building itself could breathe. At the end of the corridor was a large round room, like a medical lab but without sharp tools. Instead, it was full of glowing screens and alien women, at least a dozen of them, all tall, elegant, beautiful in a way he couldn't describe. Their skin shimmered in different colors: silver, blue, pink. Their hair floated slightly, like it had no weight. Their eyes studied him. Silently, Ethan stopped walking. "What is this?" he asked. Dr. Vexa stepped forward from the group. "This is the observation phase," she said calmly. He crossed his arms. "Observation for what?" She didn't smile. "For understanding." The next few hours were strange. They took his blood, measured his body, scanned his brain waves while showing him colors, voices, emotions, but none of it hurt. They gave him food, soft clothes, a bed, but everywhere he went, they watched him. Not like a prisoner, but like a puzzle they were desperate to solve. Later, Ethan was brought into a different chamber. This one had soft lights. A peaceful tone played in the background. Only one alien woman waited inside. She looked younger than the others, slender, with pale golden skin and eyes like the ocean. She stepped forward and spoke gently. "I am called Zari. I am here to study comfort." "Comfort?" Ethan raised an eyebrow. She nodded. "Not all tests are medical." Zari sat across from him. She asked him about Earth, about family, about dreams. No one had asked him those things in years, and somehow this alien who barely knew him listened better than any human ever had. She didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. She just listened. Over the next few days, Ethan's routine stayed the same. Tests, scans, walks with Zari. He stopped trying to escape. There were no guards, no cages, but also no doors to Earth. Still, it wasn't fear keeping him here now. It was curiosity, and maybe connection. But things changed one morning. He woke up to find a tray with new clothes, white robes with golden patterns. A voice came through the wall. "Prepare. The council will speak to you." Ethan dressed and followed the escorts once again. This time, the hall led to a council chamber, a large dome with windows showing the sky of Vylara. 10 alien figures sat around a floating table, each one old, wise, and powerful. Dr. Vexa stood. In the center, she turned to Ethan. "This is the truth," she said clearly. "Our females cannot create life anymore. Our species faces extinction. But your biology offers hope." The council leader spoke, her voice deep and soft. "You are the only known compatible male across all studied species. We ask for your help." Ethan stared at them. "You mean breed?" The word echoed in the room. Zari stood nearby, eyes on the floor. "You will not be forced," Vexa said, "but we ask for your choice." Ethan looked at them all. So beautiful, so advanced, so desperate. He could say no. They wouldn't chain him. But he knew the truth now. They hadn't kidnapped him to hurt him. They brought him here because they had no other choice. He looked at Zari. She looked back, and for the first time, he saw something behind those glowing eyes. Fear. Hope. And something else. Longing. Ethan stepped forward. I need answers. I need honesty. And I need time. Dr. Vexa nodded. Then time you shall have. But outside, the glass window beyond the peaceful sky, another file opened quietly in the system. Project Prime. Breeding compatibility. Stage 2 initiated. The proposal. He didn't expect Ethan stood in the center of the chamber, heart pounding. He had faced machines breaking down, near starvation on his old colony, and even the deep silence of space. But nothing had prepared him for this, a room full of alien women, eyes glowing, faces calm, waiting for his answer. Not about war, not about politics, but about something far stranger. Breeding. Dr. Vexa stepped forward slowly. Her expression was calm, but her voice was firm. Ethan Cole, she said, you are the only known male in the galaxy whose DNA can restore life to our people. He blinked. So you want me to, what, be your donor? No, she replied. We want you to become our hope. The words felt heavy. She gestured with her hand. A hologram opened beside her, showing their population chart. Blue lights, births, faded, year by year, until it reached 0. Vexa continued. Our scientists tried cloning, gene reconstruction, artificial wombs, all failed. The only natural match we found was you. Ethan's eyes moved across the room. He saw faces of alien women, some cold, some curious, some nervous. Then he saw Zari. She wasn't looking at him like the others. She looked ashamed. Let me get this straight, Ethan said slowly. You brought me across light years to make me father your children? Vexa answered with the same calm voice. Yes, and we will protect and honor you for it. You will have the freedom to choose your partners. We will not force you. Ethan let out a dry laugh. Oh well, that makes it romantic. One of the council members stood. Her eyes flashed. You think this is easy for us? We are not animals. Ethan raised his hands. I didn't say that, this is a lot to take in. Vexa nodded. Of course, that's why you have not been rushed. Observation was phase 1. This, what you see now, is phase 2. Ethan stared at her. How many phases are there? She didn't answer. After the meeting, Ethan returned to his quarters. He sat at the table, hands in his hair, mind racing. He didn't ask for this. He didn't want to be their hero, and yet, if what they said was true, what they said, his choice could save an entire race. A soft knock came at his door. It slid open to reveal Zari. She stepped inside holding a glass bowl of fruit-like food. He looked at her, exhausted. You too? She didn't smile. She set the bowl down and sat across from him. I didn't come to offer anything, she said. Only to speak. He looked into her eyes. No tricks, no orders, just emotion. You think this is easy for me? She asked. I don't know what to think, Ethan said. 1 minute I'm fixing drones, next I'm being told to breed. Zari lowered her gaze. We are not made for this. My people, we lost the ability to feel deeply generations ago. Love, desire, even fear, those were considered weaknesses. Now, I see them again, but not in us. In you. Ethan's voice dropped. Then why me? Zari met his eyes. Because your body may save us, but your heart might change us. They sat in silence. No pressure, no demands, just understanding. Ethan broke it gently. And what if I say no? Zari paused. Then we respect that, but we still lose. She stood to leave, but before walking out, she turned back. If you decide to stay, I want to be the first to stand by your side. Ethan froze. It wasn't a command. It was a choice. Hers. That night, he didn't sleep. Not because he was afraid, but because, for the first time, he felt something deeper than fear. Responsibility. Far across the compound, Vexa watched the footage silently. Another scientist stepped beside her. "Shall we begin phase 3? Vexa answered, eyes on the screen. "Not yet. Let him choose her. If it's real, the results will be stronger. The testing phase begins." The next morning, Ethan was given a new room. It was bigger than the last. Rounded walls, soft glowing light, a bed made from some kind of warm woven crystal. A garden grew along the edge, filling the air with a sweet, calming smell. But it wasn't comfort that kept him alert. It was the message glowing on the wall. Phase 3. Compatibility. Evaluation begins. Ethan stood in front of the panel, arms crossed. "Evaluation? I thought we already passed the interview stage." The door opened. Zari stepped in. She wasn't wearing a uniform this time. Her clothing was soft, flowing, made from light fabric that shimmered like water. Her hair was braided loosely over one shoulder. She looked different. Not like a scientist, not like a soldier, like a person. She smiled carefully. "Don't worry. There are no needles, no machines, just time together." Ethan blinked. "Time for what?" "To know each other," she said. "Truly. If a bond is to work, it cannot only be physical, it must be emotional, mental, spiritual." He raised an eyebrow. "You mean, like dating?" Zari tilted her head. "Dating?" Ethan chuckled. "Yeah, you know, talking, laughing, maybe sharing a story, a meal." Her eyes brightened. "Then yes, that." Over the next few days, they did exactly that. Zari brought him alien fruits and strange drinks. Some were sweet, some spicy. One made his mouth go numb for an hour. They sat on the balcony together, watching the twin moons rise. She showed him ancient symbols her people once carved in stone. He taught her how to play a simple card game, using thin tiles. They laughed, they disagreed, they teased, and slowly something grew. Not forced. Not planned. Natural. One night, Zari asked, "Why did you fix broken drones on your planet?" Ethan shrugged. "Because no one else wanted to, and because when I fixed something, it felt like it mattered, like I was useful." Zari looked at him carefully. "You were more than useful. You were chosen." He looked at her. "And what about you? Why did you join the scientists?" She looked away. "Because I was born with no bond. My emotions were rare. They made me a threat. So, they put me in the labs, far from others, cold halls, cold rules." She turned back to him. "But now I feel warmth again. I don't know what it means. But it only happens when I'm near you." Ethan didn't answer right away. Because he felt it too. This wasn't just a survival plan anymore. This was something. Later that evening, a test began. Not in a lab, not with machines, but with closeness. They sat side by side on the floor, sharing a glowing drink that smelled like citrus. A small orb floated above them, pulsing with light. It reacted to heartbeats. Connection. "Place your hand on the orb," Zari said softly. He did. She did too. The orb glowed, then pulsed gently. "In sync," Zari gasped. "It's rare, very rare, even among our own kind." Ethan stared at the light. "So what does it mean?" "That our bond is forming." The next morning, Vexa reviewed the data with her team. "She's stabilizing," one assistant said. "Her hormone levels are responding." "Emotionally balanced," said another. "The human is anchoring her system naturally." Vexa nodded. "Begin final observation. The match is not just functional, it's emotional." Back in the living quarters, Zari looked different. She stood at the edge of the garden, quiet, one hand resting gently over her chest. Ethan walked up behind her. "Are you okay?" She nodded. I feel strange. Bad strange. No, she whispered. Alive strange. She turned to him. Before you, I followed orders. I lived by logic. But now, when I look at you, I feel something I don't have a word for. Ethan smiled. I think we call that falling for someone. Zari reached out and took his hand. You were brought here as material, a subject, a solution. She looked into his eyes. But to me, you are becoming home. And for the first time in his life, Ethan didn't feel lost in space, he felt found. One of them breaks protocol. The wind on Vylara felt warmer than before. The sky glowed gold as the twin suns dipped low. For most, it was just another calm evening. But for Zari, everything had changed, and she was about to do something no one in her position had ever done. She was going to break the rules. Inside the private quarters, Ethan was sitting cross-legged on the soft floor, repairing a damaged orb with tools Zari had given him. The little sphere flickered weakly in his hands, pulsing like a fading heartbeat. Zari stood at the door, silently watching him, not like a scientist, not like a guardian, but like a woman falling for something forbidden. She walked in slowly. You're fixing it again. Ethan smiled. It's calming. I like bringing broken things back to life. Zari sat beside him. You do that to people too. He looked at her. Is that what I'm doing to you? She didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand gently on his chest over his heart. I wasn't supposed to feel anything, she said. No attachment, no longing, no love. Ethan went still. His voice lowered. But you do? She nodded. Yes, and it scares me. In the observation room, two other scientists stared at the screen. One frowned. She's spending too much time with him. She's speaking outside the protocol. Should we report it? The senior technician stepped forward. We already have. He pressed a red button. Back in Ethan's room, the door suddenly opened. Dr. Vexa walked in, flanked by two silent guards. Zari jumped to her feet. Vexa's face was unreadable. Her voice was flat. Zari, step away from the subject. Ethan stood up. She's not doing anything wrong. She has violated bond neutrality, Vexa said. Emotion has interfered with evaluation. She will be reassigned. No, Zari shouted. This bond is real. You said it yourself. The connection is stronger when the feelings are real. That may be true, Vexa replied, but it must be controlled. She turned to Ethan. We are moving her to another station. Zari's eyes widened. You can't. I have to, Vexa said. You let your feelings compromise the project. Zari took Ethan's hand and held it tight. If you take me away, she said quietly, you will destroy the one thing that made this work. Ethan looked at Vexa. Let me decide. The room went quiet. Vexa narrowed her eyes. Decide? Nodded. You brought me here for my choice, didn't you? You said I could choose who to bond with. Vexa's lips pressed into a thin line. This bond has exceeded all predicted data, she said finally. But know this. If you claim her, she can no longer return to the program. She will be removed from scientific duties forever. Zari looked at Ethan. Waiting. Ethan stepped forward. I don't want her to be a number in your charts. I don't want to be a project. He took Zari's hand again. I want her. As she is. Vexa studied them both. Then, she nodded slowly. So be it. She turned to the guards. Stand down. Then to Zari. You are dismissed from the program. You will no longer be bound to the lab. And with that, she left the room. Zari sat down, breathing hard. That was it, she whispered. My whole life. That was all I knew. Ethan knelt beside her. You don't need their lab anymore. She looked into his eyes. I just hope I'm enough without it. Ethan cupped her face in his hands. You're more than enough. Outside, in the upper tower, Vexa stood alone before a screen. A new file was opened. Subject Prime, voluntary pairing, approved protocol breach, recorded Phase 4, natural conception monitoring. Pending, but for Ethan and Zari, it wasn't about science anymore. It was something deeper, something real, something neither of them had expected. Love. Escape or embrace. Night on Vylara was silent. The stars above the silver towers blinked gently, but the world below was holding its breath. One of the quiet chambers, Ethan stood near the window, his hand pressed to the cool glass. His thoughts were spinning. Behind him, Zari slept on the cushioned bed, wrapped in a soft crystal blanket, her breathing calm, her face peaceful for the first time in days. But Ethan couldn't sleep. Not after what he had just heard. An hour earlier, someone had slipped a small silver cube under his door. When he activated it, a low, raspy voice came through. You were taken. We know. We are not part of their program. If you want freedom, meet us at the western transport gates before sunrise. Come alone. Then it blinked out. No name, no face, just a chance to leave. He looked back at Zari now, curled like a quiet flame beneath the blanket. He remembered how she had stood up to Vexa, how she had held his hand like it meant everything. She had given up her career, her future, for him. And now he had a chance to go. To return to his people, to Earth, to the life he knew. But at what cost? As the sky began to shift from night to deep purple dawn, Ethan quietly dressed. He moved to the door. He touched the panel and hesitated. Zari stirred. Her eyes opened, still half asleep. Ethan, she whispered. He froze. He started but couldn't lie. Her eyes locked onto his. You're leaving? He stepped toward her. Someone offered me a way out. She sat up slowly. Then go. He blinked. What? She looked down. I won't stop you. I told you before. Your freedom matters more than what they brought you here to be. She didn't cry, but her voice cracked, just slightly. Ethan dropped his bag, walked over, sat beside her. You think I'd really walk out after all this? I think you should, she said softly. You don't belong to them, or to me. He reached for her hand, held it gently. You're wrong. He looked into her eyes, glowing faintly in the early light. I was floating through life before they took me, just doing things to survive, but you made me feel alive again. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. You weren't the trap, Zari. You were the reason I stayed. She looked away. They'll watch us. Use us. Let them watch, he said. Let them take notes. Let them see what real connection looks like. She turned back to him. Even if you can never go home? Ethan smiled sadly. Home isn't where you're born, it's where someone waits for you. The sky, outside, was glowing now. The transport gates would be opening soon, and he wasn't there. He was exactly where he wanted to be, with her. Hours passed. Later, Vexa stood in the central control room. She reviewed her monitor quietly. Subject Prime declined the extraction, one technician said. Vexa gave a small nod. Then the choices made. Another screen blinked. Zari, emotional stability, strong bond strength, unmatched conception viability. High Vexa turned off the screen. This is no longer science, she whispered. This is something greater. Back in their private room, Ethan held Zari close as the sun rose over Vylara. No guards came. No alarm sounded. Just warmth, peace, a new beginning. Do you think they'll ever stop watching? Zari asked. Ethan chuckled. Probably not. She looked up at him. Then let them learn what love really is. He kissed her forehead. Let them watch. Humanity's gift. And her choice. The chamber was silent, but the air was thick with tension. Zari stood in the center of the Velaran Council Hall, her hands folded over her middle, her head held high. Behind her, glowing glass windows looked out across the shining city. But all eyes were on her. Every seat in the circle was full. Elders, scientists, commanders. And above them all, Dr. Vexa watched silently. Zari took a deep breath. "I'm here not as a scientist," she said. "Not as a subject." She placed her hand gently on her stomach. "I am here as proof." Gasps spread across the chamber. A few council members leaned forward. Others whispered. The lead elder stood. "You are with child?" Zari nodded. "Yes. And he is human." Another elder's voice trembled. "This has never happened. No bond has survived this long." Zari met their eyes, calm and unshaken. Because it was never about genetics. It was never just about compatibility. Her voice grew stronger. It was about connection, choice, emotion. In the upper chamber, behind a protective glass wall, Ethan watched from a platform. 2 guards stood near him, but no one tried to stop him. Not anymore. He had made his choice. And now Zari was making hers. One councilwoman whispered, "This could divide our society." Vexa finally stood. "No," she said, loud and clear. "It could save it." All turned to her. She stepped forward. "For years we pushed emotion away. We treated love as weakness. We turned birth into calculation. But this child," she gestured toward Zari, "this child was created by something we forgot long." "Oh." She looked at Zari, then at Ethan beyond the glass. "Hope." Zari stepped forward, removing a small emblem from her robe, her scientist's badge. She placed it gently on the council table. "I give this up by choice," she said, "because my purpose is no longer in the lab. It's here." She touched her heart. "And here." She looked up toward Ethan. The elders whispered again, but none raised protest. They had no law against love, only tradition, and today, tradition had met something stronger. Later that evening, under the warm glow of Vailara's twin moons, Zari and Ethan walked together along the crystal bridge above the healing gardens. No walls, no guards, no questions, just peace and beginnings. "I thought they would stop us," Ethan said softly. Zari smiled. "They tried, but the truth is harder to silence than any voice." She paused, her hand still resting over her stomach. "I feel different," she whispered. "Not just because of the child. Because I've never had something to protect like this, something of my own." Ethan took her hand. "Not just yours." She smiled up at him. "Ours." He looked at the stars. "Do you think Earth will ever believe this happened?" Zari laughed quietly. "Would you?" "Probably not," he admitted. "Then, let it be our story." He looked into her eyes. "No," he said. "Let it be the beginning of their story." And as the stars moved above them, and the world of Vailara breathed its first hope in generations, 2 souls, once strangers from distant worlds, stood as one, not by science, not by order, but by love, sacrifice, and the choice to build a future together. The end.